Stormwater becomes wastewater, becomes drinking water. We're going to look at Philadelphia's sustainable green stormwater management. It's an approach that's come about through both regulatory changes and political momentum. Philadelphia was incorporated as a city in 1701 and covers about 350 square kilometers. It has a population of 1.6 million, with a total of almost 6 million people in the metropolitan area. The age and size of the city presents challenges for a variety of its antiquated infrastructures. These challenges are compounded by the fact that Philadelphia is one of the poorest metropolitan areas in the United States, with about 25% of its citizens living below the national poverty line. In spite of, and in fact because of these circumstances, Philadelphia has developed one of the most progressive and sustainable stormwater management approaches in practice today. This approach is the product of limited capital, regulatory changes, and a decade of political momentum. The Philadelphia region is a collection of 7 watersheds that drain into the Schuylkill and Delaware rivers. Historically, rain would be collected by numerous tributaries within the 7 watersheds, or the water could infiltrate into aquifers, or the water could be returned to the atmosphere through evapotranspiration. However, with urbanization comes the increase of impervious surfaces and the paving over of a significant number of tributaries. In order to help alleviate the loss of the natural watershed services and avoid overland runoff and flooding, Philadelphia has developed an extensive underground sewer system. The dark brown lines show just some of the pipework in the city's sewer infrastructure. Urbanization brings with it a multitude of impervious surfaces. During storm events, rainwater has nowhere to go but into the channelized sewer system. This presents a costly problem for Philadelphia. In the United States and Canada, municipalities either have a combined sewer system or a sanitary or separate sewer system. In dry weather, both systems perform well, moving municipal sewage wastewater to treatment plants. However, during wet weather, a combined system collects the runoff from the storms and combines it with the sewage. This combined waste stream overflows the system, pushing untreated raw sewage into natural waterways. In a sanitary system, the 2 source streams are kept separate, and the storm runoff is released untreated into natural waterways, while the sewage waste is treated normally. Philadelphia relies on over 3,000 miles of sewer pipes, composed of 60% combined sewer lines and 40% sanitary sewers. With more than 75,000 inlets, a system this large and this old is impractical, if not impossible, to replace. However, the release of raw sewage during storm events is both environmentally and financially costly for the city. A rain event as small as 3 millimeters in depth has the chance to overflow the combined sewer system and result in the discharge of raw sewage, ultimately reaching the Schuylkill and Delaware rivers. It should be noted and stressed that these 2 rivers are also where Philadelphia draws the entirety of its municipal drinking water from. The discharge is harmful for the broader ecosystem, but it's also harmful for downstream municipal users. Facing new regulatory changes and mounting fines for the sewage discharge, Philadelphia needed to find a solution. The Clean Water Act is the federal regulation that oversees the National Pollution Discharge Elimination System and its associated discharge permits. Most cities have been investing in traditional graywater infrastructures since the inception of the Clean Water Act. This includes additional sewer lines, tanks, and costly treatments. However, in 1994, the NPDES introduced a new requirement of long-range planning to decrease combined sewer overflow discharge. Now, to receive discharge permits, municipalities would have to offer long-term control plans, so they would have to create these plans and implement them. In response to this, Philadelphia began to collect significant data to help identify problems and drivers in the drinking water, wastewater, stormwater systems within the city. In 2009, Philadelphia created a new Office of Watersheds They submitted their long-term control plan to the EPA, and it outlined an ambitious $2.4 billion 25-year plan to reduce pollution discharge through a novel watershed management approach. The plan included very limited additional graywater infrastructure. The long-term control plan, called Green City Clean Waters, called for the development of sustainable green stormwater infrastructure across the city. The goal is to remove impervious surfaces, maximize infiltration, and improve evapotranspiration so that the rainwater wouldn't become runoff. This would avoid the overburdening of the combined sewer system. This approach would enrich the city, improve the outdoor spaces for citizens, and address the sewer overflow issues and related fines from the EPA. The Philadelphia Water Department couldn't afford the cost for the graywater infrastructure required by the EPA, but by focusing on sustainable development, the wider city government has found multiple revenue streams to partially fund the project. Green City Clean Waters was initiated in 2012. The Philadelphia Water Department recalculated stormwater runoff taxes and incentivized the increase in permeable surfaces and maximized infiltration on privately owned land. There were changes in the regulatory requirements for any new or redeveloped land. Any disturbance in excess of 15,000 square feet must be able to retain or treat the first 1 inch of any rainfall. Funds were also contributed from multiple partners. The U.S. EPA contributed $3 million to help jumpstart these sustainable efforts. And there's been a realignment of the broader city budget to prioritize spending related to sustainable green infrastructure. Philadelphia's commitment to sustainable development has touched nearly every aspect of the city's governance. If Philadelphia is successful in this unprecedented effort, it will be in large part due to the interdisciplinary and integrated efforts at all levels of the government, and in no small part due to a continued effort to educate Philadelphians about their environment and their place in it.
Next, we will talk about urban greening in Philadelphia. The Green City Clean Waters program will have a huge impact on the greening of the city. Currently, Philadelphia has 2,918,000 trees, which converts to 20% tree cover. These trees provide 702,000 tons of carbon storage and help to remove 513 tons of pollution a year. The trees also provide rainfall interception of up to 81 million cubic feet. This is extremely important in Philadelphia due to their current stormwater management issues. The trees also help to reduce temperatures up to 0.3 degrees Fahrenheit. Urban greening provides many economical, social, and environmental benefits. The City of Philadelphia hopes to reduce the social cost of poverty by increasing the number of green jobs every year. The city predicts there could be up to 250 new green jobs a year. It is commonly known that having green space around your home will increase the value of the property. The city predicts an increase of up to 2 to 5% in property value of homes near green spaces over the next 45 years. This could be seen as both a negative and a positive. With increased greening, there are more recreational opportunities close to urban areas. More parks and playgrounds support physical activity, and being around trees can help lower stress. Greening schools is a large portion of the Green City Clean Water program. Kids will have more exposure to working in community gardens and having more responsibility. The increased number of trees planted as street trees in urban areas should help to reduce extreme heat events. However, equity is a large problem in Philadelphia. The city wants 30% green coverage of all neighborhoods in the city. However, currently there are visibly fewer green spaces in lower income neighborhoods. Greening the city will always have positive environmental impacts. As stated above, urban forests are large carbon sinks and can help reduce air pollution. If the new greening initiatives for stormwater management are successful, they will help keep the rivers and streams cleaner. Cleaner waters would benefit both aquatic species and promote more aquatic activities. Animals will also be able to find refuge in the increased number of green spaces. And those are just a few of the benefits received from urban greening. The U.S. EPA states that GSIs are a cost-effective and resilient approach to managing wet weather impacts. GSIs use vegetation, soil, and other elements to restore some of the natural processes to manage water. These greening initiatives will help provide more green spaces and trees to the city while lowering the amount of impervious surfaces. The guidance for design and details are listed in the Stormwater Retrofit Guidance Manual, and they comply with the Philadelphia's Water Department stormwater management practices. As Megan stated earlier, all of the GSIs will be funded through the Green City Clean Waters program. We will talk about 3 different GSIs. Bioswales are combinations of plants, shrubs, and trees. They can be a good replacement for roadway median strips and parking lot curbs. These swales are long, linear channels of pervious ground and will help store water during storms, and the water will return to the ground. The swales should be inspected 4 times a year to look at the health of plants and for any large obstructions. It is recommended to not pile snow or salt in the swales. However, the city does salt the roads in the wintertime, and the swales are designed to catch the water runoff from the street. Hence, salt will be getting into the bioswales. If the bioswales are put in as parking lot curbs, it will be difficult to not put snow in them. And it's recommended not to pile snow in the swales because it may crush the plants. The addition of tree trenches will increase the number of street trees in neighborhoods. The tree trench's minimum tree pit dimensions are 3 feet by 3 feet. Trees should be grown in accordance with good nursery practices, which is 1 large tree per 100 square feet, or 2 to 4 small trees or shrubs per 100 square feet. The health of the trees should be inspected every 3 months. The sidewalks will be ever so slightly slanted to promote the water to go into the tree trenches. There will be layers of geotextiles, stone, and sand so the water can filter through slowly. Many of the GSIs have the option to put in a perforated distribution pipe or a pipe connected to an outlet control structure. The same snow and salt issues also apply here. The last GSI are green roofs. Green roofs can help mitigate large heat islands by covering the large impervious surfaces. Green roofs promote evapotranspiration and can lower energy costs in the building. The main requirement for installing a green roof is that the building can support the weight of the green roof system. This is an easy to address issue for new buildings, but it may be a costly retrofit for older buildings. Green roofs can range from grasses to trees. However, Philly seems to be focusing on smaller, lightweight plants. These smaller plants lead to lower maintenance requirements. The city has a pretty cool website where you can see all the different green stormwater infrastructures that have been implemented. You can filter by type, and you can look at the amount of money they got for the project. This one had a grant of over $524,000. This is a pretty cool tool for the public to use to be able to see where greening initiatives are actually happening. My main recommendation to the City of Philadelphia is to create an in-depth urban forestry management plan. This plan should encompass street tree management and all the new greening initiatives. We did develop a lengthy monitoring plan for the Green City Clean Waters program. This document focuses more on the scientific monitoring of infrastructure and if it is effective or not. It does not include a maintenance schedule. The city should also incorporate a rotational hazard tree program. The city should list firm tree planting standards and a maintenance program. The city should work with external companies to create guidelines for planting and pruning trees around utility lines. The city could even adopt those standards from the American National Standards Institute. Currently, Philadelphia citizens are responsible for their sidewalk repairs. In lower-income neighborhoods, trees are not wanted because they don't have the funds to fix the inevitable repairs caused by the roots. Philadelphia needs to try to find the funds to take over sidewalk management to increase the desire to have street trees in lower-income neighborhoods. If the city can successfully implement all of these greening initiatives on a large scale, there should be visible positive health impacts in both the urban setting and in the surrounding waterways. The city of Philadelphia is on track to be a green city. However, it still has a long way to go to achieve its goals.
This is our mail!
Look at
it's
that.
our mail, and it was in the sewer!
What are you two doing in the sewer?
We always go in
in
the
the
sewer.
sewer.
Or walking around in the sewers naked, looking for rings and
You
coins?
feel it with your feet. It's almost like clamming.